Welcome to Chapter 1, Module 1 of your textbook. I wanted to create a short video to demonstrate some of the skills that you'll be covering in Chapter 1. I try to keep the videos 15 minutes or less because I know it can be very boring to watch a 30-minute video. You can always start, stop, replay, review the videos anytime you want. They're available on YouTube. So I just have a blank Excel worksheet here. The first thing I want to talk about is entering text and entering numbers. So as you've seen previously, when you enter text, it lines up on the left of the cell. When you enter a number, it lines up on the right of the cell. So Excel knows the difference between text and numbers. I'm going to go ahead and enter some information here, and I'll be right back. So I have some of my basic information in here, but before I continue, I also wanted to show you how to use the autofill handle. The autofill handle will fill or copy a series of information. So for example, I have my rent here in cell B3. I can use the fill handle to fill that in or copy the $500 to each of the other months. If I move my insertion point onto that green square, I get a solid plus sign. That's when I know I have the fill handle. You want to make sure you see that. Then I'm going to click, hold down the mouse, and drag it all the way over, and you can see the numbers going in, 500 for each one. I can also fill a range. So if I select both of the cells in B5 and B6, I can drag the fill handle and it will fill both of those at once. So when you have a number like that, just a regular number, it's going to fill it or copy it. Here I have the month January. I want to fill this. I don't want to copy because not every month is going to be listed as January, but the fill handle will also do a series. So again, I grab the fill handle, drag it across, and you can see the months filling in as I go through. The next thing I want to show you is the sum button. So I have all my expenses for the month of January, and I want to use the sum button to get a total for this. So I'm on the home ribbon, and I'm going to click Auto Sum. It asks me to verify the range. So it's asking, is this the correct range that you want to add? It is correct, so I'm going to click Auto Sum again. If I select a range of blank cells, I can click the Auto Sum button once, and Excel automatically figures out what I need to add, adds those cells together, and gives me the totals. So when I'm looking at the cell, I can see the outcome of 850, but when I look up in the formula bar, then I can actually see the formula behind that. I also want to apply cell styles here. It's really important that you always format your numbers. Even if you don't have any decimal places or a thousand separator, you want to format your numbers so that they look consistent. So I'm going to select the range that I want to format, and on the home ribbon in the number group, I'll click the comma. Then I'm going to select my totals, but this time I'm going to click the dollar sign. Excel automatically widens the cells so that it fits the widest entry. Another way you can widen cells is by using the best fit. If I move up to the insertion point between columns A and columns B, I get a double-headed arrow. I can double-click that, and it will automatically adjust the column width to fit the widest entry. Now, if I were to add another item to that column, it's not going to readjust the column. I'll have to do that again. I can also format my cells using alignment. So again, I highlight a range, and this time I'm going to click the center alignment button, and it automatically formats those cells. If you realize that you need to insert a column or a row, you can easily do so using the heading areas. So these are the column headings, and these are the row headings. So if I want to insert another row here, I can click to select the row, and either right-click and choose Insert, or I can go to the home ribbon, and under the Cells group, click Insert Sheet Rows. Type in my title, and I'm good to go. Cell styles are a really nice way to quickly format text. So I'm going to select this range that has my months, go to the Cell Styles button on the home ribbon, and I'm going to choose the heading 3 style. So that automatically applies a font color and a bottom border. I'm going to do the same thing down here with my total row. This time I'm going to choose the total cell style. Your cell styles may change a little bit depending on the theme that you're using, and we'll talk about themes later in class. I also want to indent these expense items so that they're pushed over and offset a little bit from the title. So I have my items selected, and on the home ribbon in the alignment group, I'm going to click Increase Indent. Now again, I need to make my column wider because as I've increased the indent, I've added space and it's no longer wide enough. You don't have to use Best Fit to adjust your column width. You can click and drag on that double-headed arrow as well. It's also really important to spell check your worksheet. You've noticed that I've made some spelling errors here, and I just want to check before I run it. Excel does not automatically check spelling for you like Word does. When you're working in Microsoft Word or Microsoft PowerPoint, you'll see a squiggly underline, red squiggly underline, whenever there's a misspelled word. Excel does not display that for you. I have the spell check button on my quick access toolbar, so I'm just going to click that. It'll run through the spell checker. It starts from the point where my insertion point is, goes down, and now it's going to circle back to the top. So it found expenses, so I'm going to go ahead and say change. And now I'm good to go. Everything's been fixed. So I like to also change the sheet tab names. In Excel 2016, you start with one sheet, but you'll often add additional sheets as you go. And if your sheet tabs are named, it's much easier to identify one tab from the next. To change a sheet tab in Excel 2016, you can double click on the tab Sheet 1. It automatically selects it, and I can type in my new sheet name. I can also change the sheet tab color by right-clicking on the tab, going to Tab Color, and picking a color I like. You don't see the color predominantly until you get off of this sheet and onto another. So in order to do that, I want to create a chart, and I'm going to put my chart on a new sheet to automatically add that. I'm going to create a 3D pie chart. When you're creating a pie chart, you only have two ranges selected, and they're typically non-adjacent, meaning not next to each other. The first range I'm going to select are my months. The second range I'm going to select is my total. So in order to select non-adjacent ranges, I have to hold down the Control key and then click to select the second range. I can see that these two ranges are selected because they're both highlighted. If I just click and drag, I get all of that, and that's not going to make for a pie chart. So again, I click to select the first range, hold down Control, and click to select the second range. With my two ranges selected, I'm going to go to the Insert ribbon. I want to create a chart, and I'm going to create a pie chart. So I'm going to click the drop-down arrow on pie, and I'll do a 3D pie. It gives me a preview so I can see what the pie is going to look like. I can see from my pie chart that my pie pieces are labeled. If your pie pieces are not labeled, if it says Series 1, Series 2, that means you did not select the months as your first range. So I want to move this chart to another worksheet. Right now, this chart is an embedded worksheet, meaning it's embedded into my current worksheet. I want to make it a linked chart so that it's linked to this worksheet. With the chart selected, I have two new ribbons, Chart Tools Design and Format. On Chart Tools Design, I can click Move Chart. It says, okay, where would you like me to move it? I want it to go on a new sheet. When I select a new sheet, I have the option right here to change the sheet name. So we're going to call this one Budget Chart. Now I have two sheets, one for the budget itself, and then one for the budget charts. In Excel 2016, whenever you create a chart, it automatically assigns a title, and it's just default text of chart title. If I don't want the title, I just have to select that text and hit the delete key. Now later in class, we'll learn more about charts and how to format them. I want to go back to my budget worksheet now, and I wanted to talk about the auto calculate. A lot of people don't notice the auto calculate because it displays at the bottom in the status area, but it is a handy tool. So if I want to know the total of all of my expenses for the 6-month period, I can click and drag to select that range, And I can see down here in the auto calculate, the average of my monthly expenses is $1,122.50. I have 6 items selected, and my sum, so the total, is $6,735. There are other options that you can add to the status bar. For example, you want to see your highest, your max, or your lowest, your min. If I move my mouse to a blank area and click with the right button, these are all of the different things that can show up on the status bar. So I want to add minimum and maximum, and I just click those to select them. Now in my auto calculate, in addition to the average, the count, and the sum, I also see my smallest monthly total is $850 and my largest is $1,860. Now those are not numbers that automatically appear in the worksheet. They're only going to show in the auto calculate area. One thing that you're going to need to do on nearly all of your assignments in class is change the document properties. The document properties give information about your document, including the author. You can add keywords, you can add notes, whatever you like in the document properties. So if I go to the File ribbon and I go to Properties and Advanced Properties, here I can change information. I'll often ask you to be sure that your name is listed as author. You can put our course in here for company, and you can add comments. Once you have that information included, you want to click OK to save it. Now if you were to go back into here, you'll see that information again. This information is the properties for this workbook, not for all of Excel. So you'll need to change these each time you start a document. You can also add information here. For example, if I want to put a title in here, I can put that in as the title. I can add tags. Tags are useful if you are looking for a file. You need to search for it because you can't remember the file name. You can use the tags. Categories are also another form of a tag. Once you have all your information in there, you can either hit Escape or the back button to get out of that backstage view and back into your worksheet. When you're ready to print your document, you always want to preview it first. So I have the Print Preview button on my Quick Access toolbar. To add buttons to this Quick Access toolbar, you click the drop-down arrow, and you can add them quickly from here. So I have Print and Print Preview. You don't want to add Quick Print, or I don't recommend you add Quick Print, because Quick Print will just send your document straight to the printer without you having a look at it first. So I'm going to click the Print Preview, get an idea of what my document looks like. It says I only have one page, but I know that I have 2 worksheets, but only one worksheet was selected. If I go back, I can hold down the Shift key and click the second worksheet. Now up here at the top it says Group. Both worksheets are selected. So now if I go into Preview, there's my first worksheet. I can see I have page 1 of 2, and there's my second worksheet. If you want to print both worksheets, you have to select them both before you go into the print, or you can click on the first one, print, click on the second one, and print. Notice though that when you are in this group mode, there are a number of tools that are no longer available to you. That's because you're grouped. You have 2 worksheets grouped together. To get out of the group, just click on one of the worksheets and the group goes away. You're back to having your individual worksheets. The last thing I want to talk about is correcting errors. I often make errors when I'm typing. They don't all get picked up by spell check. Maybe I've realized that my car payment is going down a little bit. It's only $225. If it's easier just to type the entire number over, I can just type and it goes right on top of the old one. Now I need to use the fill handle to fill that in. If it's something else, like maybe this education is really 1100, it might be easier just to change the number. So there's 2 ways to do that. One is you can do what's called in-cell editing. If I double click in the cell, I'm actually in the cell and I can edit. The other thing you can do is move up to the formula bar and click once and edit that way as well. So a lot of options for you. Be sure that you save your work often, and I will see you next week.